a member of the Anguba Campaign Council. That is very unusual. The duty, the office of the Attorney General is a sacred trust. It's not dabble into local politics, let alone be a member of the gubernatorial council of any state.
Whistleblowing is all about giving information secretly, surreptitiously to the establishment for them to carry out certain actions. Information that will help the economy. For example, you have a criminal, you have an armed robber, or you have a permanent secretary or an auditor general, or somebody is committing some sort of fraud in the ministry. You go and disclose to the authorities so that they investigate. That's what it's talking about. That's why I say you don't just take the information hook, line, and sinker. Because what if that information is a function of laws? What if the informant louse or reviles the victim and will just come up to say, this man, just because he's his political enemy, or just because he took his girlfriend, or just because he slept with his wife, will now say this man is involved in this. I know so many cases like that this man is involved in this, and in actual fact, the man is innocent. And if you have such an informant that dispenses mendacity, then that informant himself, and that's why every whistleblower, the operatives must ensure that they know the houses, they know them to their houses. If you come and give me any information, you must show me where you reside, your office, or something. I must trace you to something, your village, everything. So that if that information is questionable, I will come back for you. And that will very large extent will discourage dispensation of falsehood.
Where there is a right, there is obligation. And because there is a right, and obligation, there is also a benefit. And if there is a benefit, there must also be sanction in the context that when the whistleblower is found to be culpable, what happens to him? Because based on that information that is adduced, the magistrate takes an action. And of course, in order to be able to issue the warrant, the law is Section 35, Section 36, Section 37, Section 38 of Part 3 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The magistrate will not just act The magistrate is expected to know the facts. The magistrate is expected to be furnished with who you are going to arrest. The magistrate is expected to be furnished with that information regarding the identity, the location, and whatsoever.
Yeah, because we are in a country where people in authority disregard the law. The people in authority doesn't bother about what the law says. They only bother about what they want to do and what they think they should do. Because the issue of autonomy has been in the constitution since 2010 or so, and I don't know why it's not being implemented to date. In fact, to the extent that the president even made an executive order, a superfluous order, trying to enforce the provision of the constitution, yet we have not heard anything about it. So I think it's a confirmation of the kind of country we are. We are in a country where we don't care about law, especially those in authority. They ignore the law when it does not suit them, and they follow the law when it suits them.
I don't know the reason why our government have failed to name and shame these criminal elements here in Nigeria. Terrorism has been striving, just like Ambrose said, it's as if it has become a good business here in Nigeria. But for me, I will hold the Nigerian intelligence network accountable because we cannot have an effective intelligence mechanism in Nigeria and we still have this criminal and this sponsors of terrorism excelling within the confines of our country. It's a failure on intelligence. From the Directorate of Military Intelligence and other intelligence networks that are supposed to stage a sting operation against these conflict entrepreneurs that are benefiting for the security situation in Nigeria. So what I would advise the federal government to do is to start naming and shaming those that they've arrested.
The federal government has what we call the legitimate instrument of terror. The Constitution has given it to the federal government. The federal government is in charge of the police. The federal government is in charge of the DMI, the NIA, the Navy, the Army, the police. They are in charge of the custom, the officers of the correctional centers. So, the civil defense. So, all the apparatus of the security are under the exclusive list, under the federal government. But our constitution, cheekily, in a very cheeky manner, says that the chief security officer of a state is the governor. But the commissioner of police does not receive instructions from the governor. The GOCs or head of command brigades do not receive instructions. The director of SSS or directors of other military agencies or paramilitary agencies do not receive instruction from the governor. So the governor is helpless in most of the time. He can only do with local vigilantes and some other things he can cook up in his state.
What is the core responsibility of the army? The army is meant to ward off external aggression, unlike what we're having in Nigeria today. Not only in the southeast, we also have it all around Nigeria, where you have soldiers coming out from the barracks and taking up the responsibility of internal security. For me, it is totally unacceptable.
This policy is in the real sense when it comes to removal of subsidy, which I don't even think the issue is about subsidy here. It's about an attempt by the presidency, because we have more of the presidency than the president. This is an attempt by the presidency and NNPC alongside the international collaborators to ensure that they cripple the Nigerian economy, with this policy.
Honestly, yes, we hear some, like in every setting in all political gatherings, there will always be disaffection, there will always be complaints, there will always be people who will seek attention, there will always be people that just want to be pacified, there will be people who just want to rub on the back, a pat on the back, rub on the head. So I think and I'm convinced that APC in Lagos is as strong as ever.
So you have the police policing the population, but nobody is policing the police. And that's the problem. So until the Police Service Commission, for instance, takes their job seriously of policing the police and holding them accountable for their actions, they're not going to see much changes.
How can we have peace without justice? Is that ever possible? Now you had to ask that question. Can you have peace without justice? After all the report where they do, they don't tell us anything. We want to know what happened. Who are the people responsible? Why did it have to happen? They're busy there saying that the report is rubbish. Anybody who won't follow them go mad. No problem. But me, I know that all of this is just simply boo-boo, playing to the gallery. His master's voice. And I don't want to be a part of all that shenanigans.
The first is the issue of referencing and cross-referencing, whether those things were done properly, because the issue of cross-referencing is very, very germane to the bill. The moment you do improper cross-referencing, it has very serious implications, especially when we have election petitions. The second issue we are looking at is the issue of topographical errors, whether there are topographical errors that can just be corrected. The third issue is whether any of the provisions of the bill violates the core intent of the Constitution, because as you are aware, the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land. Now, the fourth issue we are looking at is whether there are issues of proper sequencing, especially in relation to the dates. And in relation to the work of the commission, dates are very, very important. Then we're also looking at whether there are also provisions in the bill that are difficult to implement. We need to tell the president if there are provisions that are difficult to implement. Then we have to put the bill side by side with the existing legal framework, with the existing Electoral Act, and see whether there are provisions that have been deleted that needs to be restored, or whether there are provisions that need to be reworked on. So those are the things that the president asks us to look at, and the commission has looked at it. I will respond to the president within the time frame the president gave to the commission to respond.
But I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability. So these reports are really important because they start to build trust back between the government and between the people through these recommendations, through these reforms. I think that is really, really important. You have to build that trust back through actions of the state, actions of the federal government. But at the same time, you have to hold people accountable. For those that committed crimes, for those that broke the law, for those that did things that were counter to the democratic principles, they
You're still watching Plus Politics. Now, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has stated that it has not zoned its 2023 presidential ticket to any part of the country. The National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunapa, made this known in a statement. Now, a former member of the People's Democratic Party who defected to the ruling All Progressive Congress in 2021, Femi Fani-Kayode, had on Friday alleged that the PDP already zoned the party's presidential ticket to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. However, reacting to this statement, the PDP said Fani-Kayode's statement was completely misleading. It urged Nigerians to completely disregard the zoning claims as being peddled. It also cautioned those behind the claims to desist. Well, joining us to discuss this is Ibrahim Abdullahi. He is the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullahi, for joining us.
Hello, thank you. Good evening.
Great, it's good to have you. What exactly, I'll just get right to it, what exactly is the PDP's plan for the presidential ticket as we await, campaign season is around the corner and 2023 is also, in view? I ask this because, in September of 2021, the governors in the party had met, on this same issue of zoning, but nothing really came out of it and nothing is yet being decided. So what exactly is the plan? Mr. Abdullahi, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Abdullahi? Oh, I think that we're having connection issues with the party publicity, Deputy Publicity Secretary. We will try to get that clear line and bring him back on. Stay with us.
Care for the world's opinion. I used to beg for validation, but the fire that burned in me was hotter, and the passion that lived in me had a voice of its own. So I stopped waiting and started to act. I stopped fearing and started to live. And when they thought I would fail, I stepped into my power.
Because my time is now.
Amstel Malta, be your best.
I miss them.
Well, they should be on their way by now.
Will it feel like it used to? With everyone so busy these days.
It will be fine.
Suddenly, feels like I'm gonna fall. I can see all of my dreams so perfectly.
Look at Lena! Single file!
Love's not a dream at all. Somebody.
Grandpa, what was Grandma like?
She always found ways to bring us all together. It took me a while to discover how she does it.
Devon Kings, taste that brings us all together. Whether you like it or not, the dryness and dust is coming. And this time, it might not give up that easily. But do the people have the power to shake it off?
Well, of course they do, and you do too. Kick dry skin to the curb and get smooth, intensely nourished skin with Nivea's deep moisture lotions and lip balms. Follow the story online, #DoneWithDryness.
It's still Plus Politics. We apologize for the network and the technical issues that we've been experiencing, but we're still being joined by the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Ibrahim Abdullahi. Now, Mr. Abdullahi, before the line went off, I was asking what the plan of the PDP is in terms of the presidential ticket and the zoning issues, because, like I said, in September of 2021, governors of the PDP met on the same issue of zoning, but then nothing really has been decided. So I ask again, what is the plan?
Well, good evening. Let me begin by educating you and Nigerians that the PDP, like you would have known, is a political party that is given to rule of law. It is one party that believes in the proper way of doing things. Now, we are careful about the choice of who flies the ticket of the party in 2023. Now, it is that caution circumspection with regards to who will become the eventual standard bearer of the party. The meeting of the governors, like you stated, was also geared towards ensuring that consensus and dialogue is put in the front burner, just so that we don't hear the water overruling such contestation, which is dialogue. Even as we speak, we are discussing, we are consulting, we are interfacing with the critical stakeholders of the party. And either way, any zone that picks the ticket eventually, it is good for the PDP. We are just ready and decided to boot the APC and this bloodthirsty government out of place so that the PDP will come and continue redeeming itself and salvaging Nigerians from this hydra-headed monster called government, which has been imposed on it since 2015.
Now, there are speculations within the party that the party may throw open its presidential ticket to everyone. In other words, everybody is allowed to throw their hat into the ring. Also, the whole of last year, we also saw some groups, pressure and ethnic groups, asking that not just the PDP, but including the APC and other political parties should jettison the idea of zoning and allow everyone who's able and capable to run for that office to do so, and then the best man wins.
Spirit of democracy, you have to allow anybody who is prepared and willing, once they are not disenfranchised by law, to try their waters. Anyone can throw his hat in the ring. And if we zero or narrow it to the north, or even to the south in particular, we will be denying democracy its unreaching tendencies. What we are trying to do is that anyone, but before getting to that level, we are advancing now, interfacing with critical stakeholders to ensure that dialogue and peaceful resolution of the matters before us are put in the front burner. It is only when we cannot reach that point then we will throw the entire contestation open. We have a lot of to try. At the same time, exploring the dialogue, in concession and reconciliation can the eventual standard bearer. But if it doesn't, we are certainly going to to throw their hearts both in the ring to contest, and it is outside after the primaries that we are going to reach an amicable resolution eventually.
Well, I'm curious to know why all of a sudden the PDP, which was very, supportive of the zoning formulas, is now saying, well, this is the true spirit of democracy. I'm asking this because there are zones in this country that feel left out, especially the Southeast. We've seen agitations, we've seen moves and talks, not just in the PDP, but outside of the PDP, for the South to be, especially the Southeast, to be given an opportunity at this presidential seat. So where does the PDP come in this issue? Because I understand, I get where you're coming from, that, everybody has to be given an opportunity and may the best man win. But this is something that the PDP had always thrown its weight behind. Why, may I ask, is the PDP going in this direction? What could have informed this new move?
I'm still coming back to my response, the first one I told you. We have learned our lessons. Don't forget, PDP has ruled this country for 16 years before it lost power, albeit gallantly, to the APC in 2015. And from 2015 to 2022 that we are now, and by the grace of God, by 2023, when the ruling party will be shown its way out, PDP has learned enough lessons to ensure that those criticisms, those things that Nigerians were not comfortable with, such like imposition, such like impunity in the ways things were done in time past, PDP is learning its lesson, and I can admit it has learned sufficient lessons to throw back democracy to the people so that they will decide in themselves how these things are going to be done. And one of the few things we have learned going forward is this idea of ensuring that there are primaries either at the ward or local government or state or even the national level is thrown to the people and allowing people who are interested and who have fulfilled the righteousness and have certified the requirements to try and contest. And when this is done,
I know that we're having connection issues with you, but quickly before I let you go, the PDP, again, I know, let me just act like I do not know. Isn't it the case that when you zone the party chairmanship to a particular place, it automatically means that another zone is given the ticket to run for the party? Correct me if I'm wrong. The people in the Southeast that seem to be feeling left out, is it that they do not have enough structure within the party that can allow the party to give them an opportunity at that seat of the presidency? Or what exactly is it about the Southeast that the PDP is not looking in that direction? Don't forget, I also spoke with someone from the APC who said that they might just be looking at the South. And this is what many people are talking about, zoning to the South. Might the PDP be losing out again in 2023 if they're not necessarily feeling the pulse of the people?
Democracy is not done with sentiment. Democracy is an open contestation where the fittest is able to govern. The majority will always have their way, and the minority will have their check. Now, the Southeast you are talking about,
apologies, Mr. Abdullahi. Unfortunately, the network connection is terrible and we could not hear you, but we're hoping that we can have you back at another time to have this conversation. Ibrahim Abdullahi is the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. And that's it on Plus Politics. Thank you all for being part of the conversation. I am Mary Anna Kulm. We'll see you tomorrow as we talk about the polity of the nation. Have a good evening.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@PlusTvAfrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.